So this reviews the Dear Man skills within the Interpersonal Effectiveness module. And the Dear Man skills are used for getting what you want. So when your major goal of an interaction is to meet your objective. And that means sometimes getting someone else to do something that you'd like them to do. It also means saying no to something that you do not want to do. So the steps are outlined in this acronym, DEAR, and then the man piece kind of refers to how you do this. So the D in DEAR starts off with describing the situation. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you and the person you're speaking to are kind of in agreement over the context of what's going on. You want to start from the same page, and you're going to make sure that while you're doing this, you're really sticking to the facts of the situation. You're not adding judgments. You're explaining what other people could observe. And then you want to express. So you want to let the other person know how you're feeling about it, your opinions. It's important to remember that other people don't always know how you feel. People are sometimes quite bad at knowing that, so it's important to express that. Then comes the part where you assert. So this is when you ask for what you want or you say no clearly. So again, remembering other people cannot read your mind. It's important to be clear about what it is exactly you're asking for. And then the final step is to reinforce. So this is when we kind of reward the person ahead of time. We can explain some positive effects of getting what we want, of what this can do for them. And then this man piece, so the M is for mindful. So keep your focus and maintain your position. This sometimes means using a broken record technique where you basically say over and over what you want or say no continuously. And it also means sometimes ignoring attacks if that's what the other person is doing. So basically, you are keeping your focus even if the other person is trying to veer you off track. You also want to appear confident. So use body language, use voice tone, use facial expressions that convey that you're confident and effective. And then you also want to be able to negotiate. So this means you can offer solutions, you can ask for solutions. Turning the tables is when maybe the other person is not being receptive to the solutions that you've come up with. You can ask them how they might come up with a solution. So in particularly difficult situations, these are some tips that can be helpful. So when we're describing in a difficult situation, it can sometimes be helpful to make a statement about what's happening in that moment between you and the other person. So you might say something like, it's hard to keep asking you to clean the kitchen, or you've asked me this a few times and I've said no a few times. You also want to maybe consider expressing your feelings or opinions about the interaction itself. So you can say something like, I'm starting to feel angry about this conversation. When you assert, you can assert your wishes for the situation. You can ask the other person to stop pestering you, or you can ask to put the conversation on hold. And when you reinforce, you can suggest coming up with a solution later. You can ask the other person if there is something that you two can do that might make them more willing to do this thing for you or to do what you're asking. So this is an example of using Dear Man in a situation where you want to get another person to do something you want. So in this situation, I want my friend to be more responsive to phone calls and texts. So first I describe the situation. So I might say something like, I left you a voicemail a few days ago asking to hear from you, and I didn't hear from you. So I'm not adding any judgments. I'm just sticking to the facts of what's happened. And then I express how I feel. So I say, when I don't hear back from you, I start worrying about you and our friendship. And then I assert for what I want. So I might say, I would really like it if you would get back to me within a day, even if it's just a quick message to let me know you can talk more later. And then I reinforce. So I might say that this would ease my anxiety, which would then make me a more patient friend, a more understanding friend. And all the while, I'm remaining mindful. So if my friend tries to change the subject, I might say something like, I'd still like to hear from you. I'm appearing confident, so I'm not saying things like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. I'm making eye contact. And I'm willing to negotiate. So if she isn't willing to commit to this, I might say something like, what do you think we should do? What would work for you? This is an example of saying no when that's the objective. So in this situation, my coworker has asked me to work an extra shift to cover for her. So first I describe the situation to her. I might say, you've asked me a few times this week if I could work this shift, and I've let you know I can't. And then I express how I feel. So I say, I'm feeling uncomfortable having to say no to you so many times. I assert, so I would say, I'd really like it if you would accept my no. And then I reinforce. I might say, this would make it easier for me to cover for you in the future when I actually am able to. All the while remaining mindful. So this might be a situation where I may have to use the broken record technique. If she keeps asking, I might keep saying no over and over again and maintain my position. I'm appearing confident and I'm willing to negotiate. So I might ask if there's a different way I can help her. That maybe doesn't involve me covering the shift, but maybe there's something else I can do. So those are the Dear Man skills. Thank you.